back to the Feller and Wendt podcast called Beyond the Bar. Today we're going to be digging into the viral world of health, wellness, and what happens when somebody gets injured, online and in real life. Joining us, that's me, Thaddeus Wendt, and then also Matt Feller, our two incredible guests. We've got Andrew Ryan and Aaron Jorgensen. Andrew used to be an ER doc, and you're doing what now?
So I'm actually a physician assistant.
Okay.
I was in the ER for over 15 years, and now I'm just doing marketing for our company, and hanging out with cool people like you guys.
To us common people, PAs are they're docs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
we do everything the ER.
You gotta be legit with the title, so I get it.
Yeah.
And then Aaron, you're a top chiropractor. You see a ton of patients post-injury every day, so we love having you guys here. And I know you guys are partners in the business too. You want to tell us just a little bit about that real quick?
Yeah, so what did we start 4 years ago during COVID? We opened in Boise, Idaho area, Northwest Accident Injury Clinic. And, our model is to help rehab acutely injured patients and kind of get them through the system, kind of help them navigate the insurance, the healthcare portion of it, and try to recover as much as possible from these accidents. So.
Awesome. So 4 years ago, that's when you guys kicked this off?
Boise. Yeah. So
what about the other?
So I opened my offices in Washington in 2009.
Okay. So you've been a long time at it.
It's been a little while.
And good. Awesome. Well, I want to start with a personal question.
Sure.
Yeah, right. And Andrew, look, I'm coming to you, PA. Why get into that world? Was there a person or some event that, changed the trajectory of wherever you were heading and said, I'm gonna go be a PA?
Yeah, I think there was a guy that I met. So I was gonna go actually become a nurse. So I was gonna be an RN. And I was working. I got a job at the hospital doing EKGs. So I was running around doing EKGs, and I was in the ER a lot to do EKGs when I get called in. And there was a guy that I didn't ever really want to become an MD, because I was like, man, I don't want to go to school that long. I don't want to do residency, all this stuff. But there was a dude there that was just a stud, and everybody was like, going to him, this guy named Scott. And it's like, who's that dude? And found out who he was. I was like, hey, can we talk? I'd like to hear what you do. So he took me aside, talked to me for like 30 minutes about what a PA was and what they did and the route to get to it. And that just kind of turned it. I was like, dude, that's it. I'm like, that's what I want. I don't want to go to school forever, be an MD, but I kind of want to have more responsibility than a nurse. And I want to be able to do, a lot of what a doc does. I want to be able to do procedures. I want to be able to prescribe and diagnose. And so
does this guy know that you actually went and became?
Yeah, absolutely. So his name's Scott Schrader. When I came, I went to do ER in California for about 7 years. I paid my student loans off and everything. When I moved back to Boise, I went into the ER, and they were looking to hire people. And I still knew Scott because he knew I went to PA school, and he was down in Twin. And so he was looking to move to Boise. So I hit him up, and I'm like, hey, man, I got a job for you. So he came and worked in the ER then after all that. And we ended up working for like another, 5 or 6 years together in the ER. So it was funny. Like, he was a PA for a long time. I went to PA school, came back, then I got him a job, and we worked together as PAs.
Really cool.
So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Really cool. Yeah. You owed him anyway.
Yeah. I did. Yeah.
Return the favor.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, real quick before we go to Aaron too. So help our audience understand what really is the difference. What can a PA do versus what like an ER doc?
Yeah. So it basically comes down to whatever a doc can do, as long as they give you the leeway to do that. They kind of work under their license. You can do that. Most places will say, okay, if somebody's coming in coding and they need, like to be intubated and stuff, you can technically do that. We can run that. But usually we pass it off to a doc. So there's been plenty of times I've been in the ER where somebody comes in, they code right in front of me. I start the code. And I've intubated before, but normally there's an ER doc floating around too, an MD that will come in and then kind of take over the rest of that care. The one thing that is big that we can't do is we can't sign a death certificate. So if somebody dies, we can't call them dead. The MD has to call it.
So as long as the PA is always around, you're still alive.
Yeah, exactly. You can't die. Yeah.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah,
I'm going to keep that in mind if I still have a mind.
Yeah.
But PAs can do, like surgeries can't do, right?
Right. So as far as the ER goes, the other realm, if you're in surgery, you're going to be retracting and closing and stuff like that. You're not going to be actually doing the surgery.
Because I also know, like I know several ER providers as well, and they actually say some of the MDs don't, they either they're working part-time shifts or maybe they aren't as comfortable doing tubes. And so a lot of times I know they'll defer to PAs that are in it every day a lot. So I mean,
do you get to the point? Because I would, right? I mean, I watch TV shows and I could do that. Watch an open heart surgery or something, If you ever standing at a table like, I could probably do that better than you're doing this stuff.
I mean, so the funny thing is that when in the ER realm, the PAs do a lot of procedures. We do a lot of suturing. We do a lot of, I don't know, like I guess abscess drainages and things like that. So when a patient comes in and they have a cut on their face or something, they're like, well, I want an MD. Oh, she's like, no, you don't, because they rarely are sutured.
I've done 300 this
Yeah, exactly. Like you probably prefer to have the PA come in and suture your face rather than the doc.
like Frankenstein.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. There's plenty of times where the MD will defer to the PA to do it.
That's to my point. Like a lot of times the PAs are just as proficient. It just depends on, at the end of the day, like if they've been in ER for a long time, they're probably as good. They've trained on the job and they're as good as MDs with a lot of these scenarios. I doubt an MD might argue that point.
Yeah. But
they're not here today.
if you talk to a resident, like there'll be times where I was in there, I had 14, 15 years of experience, and a resident just came out of residency and they're seeing, hey, they'll actually, most of them are pretty cool and be like, hey, have you seen this before? What do you think? What would you do here? Most of them will ask you if they know you have quite a bit of experience.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's pretty cool.
You're now that guy who's a badass guy that you saw like everybody going to, right?
Right. Yeah.
Cool. No, that's so helpful because like a lot of times, like just us as patients, I don't know the differences. So that's like really helpful.
Well,
to understand that. So,
and I think what you're seeing too in the healthcare industry, because you're seeing mid-levels, PAs, nurse practitioners fill a lot of those gaps because the need for MDs, family practice, all that kind of stuff is so severe. And the process to train is so long. And they have to burnout rate, that kind of stuff too, that a lot of these gaps are being filled by mid-level providers. And so your family practice are nurse practitioners, PAs. And so they're becoming a lot more utilized a lot more in healthcare and filling those gaps.
And I think a lot of the clinics that are open now, I think even like who I call my P&P is the Dr. Shelby Pitts. She does a great job. I call her doctor.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, we call people.
We don't correct you. We only do it. It's like, okay, cool. But no, like the one thing too, speaking to that was, medical school applications are way down, and applications for PA school and NP school are way up. So it's because people are realizing, hey, I can go to this, but I can do similar type, pretty much the same thing, but I don't have to go to school for 10 years.
Yeah, that's my sister-in-law did that. Yeah, she was just like same kind of journey as yours. Like, I don't want to go into the debt, take all that.
Exactly, that's a big thing. The debt is such $400,000 or $500,000.
A better back. Yeah. And she still gets to go in and take care of people.
Yep. So you do what you want to do.
How about you? Aaron, tell us about what was that pivotal moment for you?
Well, it's funny because I wish I had some super inspirational moment, but I was listening to his story. Mine's like the opposite. I started off pre-med. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And then I served a mission in Argentina, came back, and I had a roommate who was like, dude, I'm going to see this chiropractor and blah, blah, blah. It's like the experience. You should do that. And I was like, it appealed to me because I thought I could, a lot of at that time I was listening, my dad was telling me a lot of these family practice docs where managed care was coming in, HMOs and stuff like that. So they're getting pushed into managed care and they're having to see daily quotas. And I was like,
say that again. Your old man did what?
He was kind of recommending I look at something else. Like he was talking to his primary care who just got put, there's a health care system in California we grew up in called Beaver. He got their private clinic got bought out. So he was now working within managed care and he was having to see like 40 patients a day and just kind of burnt out. And he was pushing him to retire early. And so I kind of thought about that. And I thought, so I kind of looked into the whole chiropractic thing and I liked it. It was, for me, chiropractors tended to see their patients a little more frequently, had a little bit different relationship. And so it kind of appealed to me. I felt like you got to know your patients a little bit more, I guess, first. And for me at the time, that appealed to me. and I look back now as a provider, and you have to maintain a certain professionalism and distance there. But I like that I got to, the way that his patients interacted with them, this chiro that I worked for a little while. I mean, you could tell they're almost like family. So I feel like that allows patients to open up and maybe share more. I know that as a whole, chiropractic profession has a very high satisfaction rate from the patient's perspective. Whereas, medical providers, their approval rates are, I think, 750 or high 40s.
Unless.
Yeah. And so the chiropractic is somewhere, I think, in the high 80s, low 90s as far as satisfaction rate. So, I feel like that gives us a better camaraderie and rapport with our patients to be able to guide them and have them maybe trust you or listen to you. So that was appealing. So, but I kind of went the chiropractic route because I thought I could still, stay out of the managed care system, run my own private practice, have my own hours, be able to spend time with my family and not, be tied into clinic so many hours. So a lot more flexibility and still have a decent living. So that's kind of what drove me chiropractic.
Makes sense to me.
Little did I know.
Little did you know. Yeah.
What about if you didn't do it, right? I mean, for me, I'm the guy that, I got into law school and I was either going to a ranch in Montana to work as a wrangler or I was going to law school.
I bet you told me you chose law school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a weird thing to tell people, right? Because every day I'm like, I wish I was on that ranch. I'm up there riding my horse. But if not healthcare, what would you be doing?
Oh man. Well, before
you can sing.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a go. I did do music prior to getting accepted into PA school. And when I got accepted to PA school is when I actually got a small contract with a label to go do an album in Nashville. So I actually did go to Nashville and did an album while I was in PA school.
That was with Jelly Roll, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no.
Just solo?
Yeah, just me, just a solo musician, me and a guitar, singer, songwriter stuff. And it was cool. Like I got to meet some really awesome people and do the whole thing. But once I graduated PA school, like I started having some opportunities to maybe go sing and do some things. But I had two little ones and, had to support them at that point. So I had to push off some shows and stuff and just do, medical stuff and pay the bills,
Pretty so. You did meet Eugene Levy.
I did meet Eugene Levy. So my favorite story I've ever done. So cool. It was super awesome. So after I got done with PA school, my first album came out. And have you heard of A Prairie Home Companion?
Yeah.
That radio show? So I got picked up by them to be on the show for 2 days.
Wow.
So I went there and I performed in I think it was like the Fitzgerald's stadium or whatever venue it was. But it was super cool. Like it held 10,000 people, sang in front of 10,000 people the first night. Then the second night, it was live radio. So it still was a full 10,000 people. But then it was live radio that reached 2 million people on the radio. So that's awesome. So after that, I did that show. I had tons of people reaching out to have me perform. Well, one of them was from Sun Valley Lodge, where you were just at, right? Yeah. So the Sun Valley Lodge, they hit me up and said, hey, we want you to do a show. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm not too far away. Let's do it. So picked up my buddy from LA. He played acoustic guitar for me. I played acoustic guitar and sang. And the place was packed out. And it was a small little club in the lodge. And it held maybe 150 people. But it was packed. I mean, people were standing. So it was this is awesome. And then sure enough, after I do an hour and a half set, Eugene Levy and his wife and his brother are in the front seat, at a table. And they come up to me afterwards. I'm like, come have a beer with me. I'm like, heck yes, I will. And so I sat down with Eugene Levy, had a beer, talked to him 30 minutes. Actually, he did a little clip for me even, with just me and him talking. He's like, check out Andrew Ryan. He's awesome. Da, 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 da. And so I threw that on YouTube and stuff.
That's he who wrote, what's the comedy that's Schitt's Creek?
Yep. Schitt's Creek and his son is involved. But he's just such a cool dude, just down to earth, super nice guy. So that's my favorite show. It's one of the small shows I did. But it was just
felt like you were
awesome.
A rock star.
Dude, it was awesome. Yeah, it was so great. So
well, and you were just telling us before we started the show, two of your songs got picked up. So tell our audience.
Yeah. So I have a couple. Well, I've done a few albums, but Young and the Restless picked up a couple of my songs in the background. And so they're from one of my older albums. It just happened to.
What's the album? Do you want to go?
Gosh, so the song's called "Advice on a Fool," and the album's called "Stand."
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what would do you have a particular genre of music?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of jazz pop.
Okay.
Kind of got a little kind of a.
You don't hear that a lot. Jazz pop.
No, yeah, it's kind of jazz poppy.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
That sounds pretty sweet. I don't even know what that is.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of Jason Mrazzi kind of style a little bit. So yeah.
Aaron, how about you? Like if you weren't doing chiropractic business running, because you didn't share that. You're like, you're not doing as much chiropractic right now. You're doing more, even though you gave me an adjustment twice on the golf course, which was amazing. Wish I had video of that. That was super cool.
I thought we were going to do that today. That's why I came.
You can do it right here in front of everybody.
We thought about that. Like, let's go ahead and give me an adjustment.
Well, I have to put the disclaimer that a full exam was performed. The doctor.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, right.
No, but so if you're not in again, so you're running all these businesses. Tell us what you do. If you hadn't gone into medicine, what would you do? Where would you be?
Yeah, so I was pre-med, but you're going to laugh, but I thought when I kind of went down the chiropractic route, I thought, if this doesn't work out, I'm actually going to be an attorney.
Really?
I did.
All right. I can see that.
Lots with the healthcare background, and then being able to do the med legal side.
Have you ever had an opportunity to do the attorney side, like any forensic work or?
No. I did all the Croft seminars, and he gets into accident construction, that kind of stuff. But I've never actually been. I'd
like to put you up, man. I think you'd be good on a stamp.
And so, well, I did after talking with Croft. I was looking at becoming an accident reconstructionist and kind of stuff. I thought, oh, that might be interesting, and that. Man, that's not work. I mean, and then so, but yeah.
So I did want to ask this because I think it'd be cool and interesting for me, for our viewers. But my son and I were talking about this. We're going to golf with him later on. But how do you you're a PA? You're like sitting there. You got like somebody's Cody. Like how with you like the first time you have to like get in somebody's body? Like how's that? Walk us through that. Like were you freaked out? It's an experience.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So you do we have to be ACLS certified. So advanced cardiac life support.
Okay.
So you get certified. And so they take you through fake scenarios, right? And so you run codes in those fake scenarios, but nothing prepares you for when it actually happens, But luckily you have to stay up to date with that. So it's pretty fresh in your mind when something like that does happen. So you do kind of follow this algorithm, And so you just kind of all right, let's go, And so you just start ordering people to do certain things and you just get it going, How
about this first time you're going to do stitches? I mean, so let me ask you this.
They're shaking like this.
Does the patient know that you're the first?
Yeah, usually.
They're the guinea pig.
Yeah. Usually how it works is, so I've seen it from both sides. I've been the student and I've been a preceptor where I've had students come in. And most preceptors are going to be okay, if it's going to be somebody old that doesn't care about a scar, it's going to be on an arm or a leg. It's not going to be on the face. So I would never have a student first time go in there on a fix, or ever really even suture a kid, because first time you want to be pretty smooth and you want to be pretty quick. But yeah, the first time when you're doing it, oh my gosh, you're just shaking. But I had a really great first time I ever did it. I had this lady that had been a PA forever, one of the first PAs. I can't remember, it was the 1950s or whatever when PA eventually first started, but she'd done it from forever. And so she was this is my routine. This is how I do it. And so she did one for me and she's like, now your turn. So then I would do it. So it's super cool. She really taught me a really good rhythm and kind of, procedure on how you go through it. Because some people just go in there and they just do it. But if you actually do each stitch the same way, it just makes it easier and you go pretty fast. And so that's how I teach now. I teach exactly how she taught me. When I teach a student, I teach them the same thing.
That's awesome. And you guys were in school and you did it on pig's feet.
Yeah, we did it on pig's feet.
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, so because we had minor surgery in chiropractic school too, and so it's but
yeah, my son and I were just how do you get like heart surgery? And I'd be yeah, okay, today's my first
Probably treatment's one.
Yeah. Oh,
Like, and who's like okay with that? Like, come on in. I'm glad to be your friend.
They definitely have it.
And that's,
Not in this section.
Yeah, seriously.
that's like what residency's for, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's where they kind of do that.
Yeah, but still, I mean, like every doc's got to do it. They've got to have a first, right?
Yep.
For sure. So brain surgery, heart surgery. I don't know what got us on that, but we're just like, geez, how do you do that?
Well, I'm sure that they'll know that you're in there with cardiologist, but then there's probably going to be their preceptor, right? Who's been a cardiologist forever, a cardiothoracic surgeon. And so when they get in there, they're asleep now. So then they're probably like, okay, I want you to do it,
Yeah.
And so that's probably what happened. But they're there in case anything happens.
Well, that's stress level though, man. That's got to be crazy. I think of it like as an attorney, going in and arguing our first motion, like, oh, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
What's your biggest screw up could be you say something wrong.
Yeah.
Or even a stitch, like on the face. Like, man, let's do this.
Yeah, well, I
This is in trouble.
Yeah, totally.
Versus your body looking terrible.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Then you get sued by
attorneys.
Hopefully it's a real nervous.
Yeah, we're setting you up asking you that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
How about you? So one of the things that's like viral right now, Aaron, is these like people are out there like adjusting their own necks and stuff. But just before we get to that, how about your first time you had to do that or do some like crazy adjustment? Was it nerve wracking?
It's funny.
Did you work on cadavers first?
No.
I was going to say
It was
Adjusting.
same as our first day of phlebotomy. It was like, all right, grab a partner. So, we start off in motion palpation class. And so we have hours and hours of palpating the spine, feeling kind of movement, where segments are not moving, stuck, things like that. And so, but it's with palpating, they're like, don't adjust. And you just kind of like, and you kind of like start, you weren't supposed to, but you kind of want to get into that. And so I think the most nerve wracking though is probably when the first time you do it and neck, right? Neck, you got to find the coupled rotation patterns and you kind of feel. And even in chiropractic school, there are probably only 3 or 4 people I would let adjust me. Yeah, because that's right.
Yeah.
You're clicking, man.
I trust you. Okay, you're coordinated. You couldn't adjust the way out of a paper bag, so you can just work on the public for free.
You got to work on each other too, right?
Right. No, that's where it starts. So we start off.
So do you have like a whole bunch of jacked up students walking around because I'm like 3 out of 10 so I would do that?
Well, and thank you to my wife, but she would let my wife was my first patient, so
Nice.
yeah. So you practice on each other, and we're all
Is she still around?
still around, still walking,
Well, one arm doesn't work.
still kicking. So
Shit.
yeah, no, it's it's not as nerve wracking. It's not. There's nobody's gonna die at you. Worst to do is sprain someone's neck.
Yeah. Very cool. Want to go on a lightning round?
Lightning round.
All right. We've never done this before. First time. So we're just going to go. He's going to ask you, then just, whoever wants to answer first, then next one goes.
Okay.
And then we'll pipe in too.
Great.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Well, every coffee, herbal teas, I guess, but I don't really drink that much tea either. I Mountain Dew.
Bishop's watching.
Yeah. He's
We're
fine.
good.
He's
We're
fine.
good.
Definitely coffee. Yeah.
Coffee.
Yeah, I thought someone was going to be like a Ted Lasso, like beer.
Like that.
Well, tea tastes
Dirty
like
water.
Dirty
Yeah,
water.
dirty water.
Water seed.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
No, it's still tastes like.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a coffee guy. Kind of. Yeah. I wish he is a piece of most used emoji. And
Careful.
This is the
Yeah.
eggplant for sure.
Yeah, no.
that's good.
That's good. It's either going to be laughing, but I use the eye one, like the eyes, like
The
like
big eyes.
like no, the eyes like looking up, like whatever, like one, yeah. I use that one a lot. Yeah,
There's a name for each one of them too.
really?
If you hover over them,
Oh, really?
it's kind of
Pops
interesting.
up with
I was like, I didn't know that's what I was saying when I said that,
So eggplant doesn't mean I'm a hot dog.
So, I don't know.
And I'm too.
I mean, it's probably the laughing with the tears coming out, but I also use the one that's like that one a lot.
Gotcha. I'm just thumbs up all the time.
Yeah, thumbs up a good one. Yeah.
it's just like
Because you can use it wherever.
yeah. Wife sends you text like, I got it.
Oh, but
I didn't read it.
But if you give her a 1 thumbs up, sometimes she thinks you're kind of being like sarcastic or something. It's like, I got to give her 2 or 3 thumbs up so it knows I'm ecstatic about it. You know,
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know?
Gonna have to do that. All right, Aaron, back to you, man. This one's cool.
Yeah.
And this one matters to me. So your answer really matters. Just pay attention.
Yeah.
Dream vacation destination.
Well, I do love Europe.
It's tough when you travel all over.
Well, I've been traveling all. But what's on my short list of places I want to go? To be honest, I'd love to go back to Lake Como, Italy. That was amazing. But I'd like to actually spend some time there. It's beautiful, man. It's like 60 small towns. You just take ferry from place to place, and obviously it's Italy, and the food's amazing, and people are pretty nice. Beautiful. It's pretty nice, yeah. That was cool. I've heard that.
Yeah, I'd like to see it because I'm not a fan. Yeah,
Let's go.
let's go.
Let's go.
Andrew, what about you? You coming with us or where?
Yeah, I'll go. You know, it always was Ireland because my ancestors from Ireland. I got to go to Ireland, so that was phenomenal, and I'd love to go back. But another dream destination would probably be somewhere kind of warm. As we were kind of talking about, I've seen pictures of the Maldives.
Maldives.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool. Check that out. Heard good things.
So if you like diving, that's definitely.
I heard that. Do you dive?
No, I'd like to. My wife is deathly afraid of the ocean, so
Let's go get certified.
So that's
I'd love to dive.
perfect vacation.
Well, she'll sit on the beach. She loves the beach. She'll sit on the beach in the warm weather with a cocktail or whatever, but she'll let me go out and
Now, if his wife watches this, she's going to be pissed at you.
yeah,
For 2 things.
yeah, 2 things.
Emoji thing and now that.
I'm used to it.
You going to hang out with that Aaron guy?
At some point, another, all my friends' wives start to hate me.
That'll be. Can't imagine why, days.
Oh man, I got to tell you, it's hard to say because I don't know what I don't know. Lake Como, I've heard amazing things, but I love Hawaii. So I've been there. Of the places I've been, a dream vacation back to Hawaii.
Which I don't
So, all of them. That would be the dream vacation. Go ahead and move.
Nice.
We did that one time. We went to Big Island, and then we went to Maui. We just love Maui. And the whole time we're at the Big Island, I was just like, I just wish we were back on.
Really?
Now to me, it's not like perfect blend of touristy stuff to do. There's nice beaches, good food.
You know what? I was a huge Maui top of my list.
Yeah.
But when we did a Wabu, this last so good, and just ended up on the North Shore, then over on that east side, we found so many cool things to do over there. Actually, I could avoid the city, but it was nice that you had that.
Nice.
Man, I thought it was really cool too. Yeah,
Twist my
Hawaii is cool. Yeah.
When I went, I was just like, there's a lot of people. It's busy. We stayed mostly around North Shore, and I was just like, it's not what I'm looking for.
Play some golf over there?
I haven't in Oahu. I
Maui,
have in Maui. Yeah, a couple cases in Maui. And I really like Maui. But I like the Big Island too. My brother lives there. It's the best snorkeling I've ever done.
That is, I have a buddy that's really
Stupid awesome.
because it's newer, volcanic rock,
Everything else.
you can just drop off.
That's the thing with Hawaii. I mean, it's just like, it doesn't matter where you go, but you're kind of like, when you start critiquing it, you're critiquing like awesome. It's
Split hairs.
Yeah, sure.
Split hairs. That's a good way to say it. That's exactly right. Yours?
Man, I'm like a do it on vacation, right? I want to go somewhere and so like Thaddeus goes to Alaska here a few days on a big fishing rendezvous. But I'd like to go through Alaska, Brooks Range, Glen Mountains.
What do you have in those?
Oh boy, I like to shoot caribou. I like to shoot bears. I like to shoot wolf.
You can eat the bear?
For our viewers, we eat everything. No, man, I don't eat many things.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I just had a buddy. He went up to Canada, but you got the 21 bears they got. 21? What?
What is that?
I don't know how many went, but yeah, they limited it out.
Two
guys just
shot them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's not a bear problem wherever they went.
No, but he was saying too, he's like, I don't need the filthy stuff. It's parasites and ticks in the fur. And it's like, it's filtered stuff. He didn't need any of it either. It is. So
I'm with Thaddeus, so man, I haven't been enough places.
I know.
when I'm on vacation, I like the architecture. I like the scenery and the food. I'm a foodie through and through and stuff.
Oh, same.
I like to relax, not think about work.
I like to do that too, but I like to mix that up. Like I like to go harder than be able to sit on the beach for a few days and just great egg.
Yeah, Patagonia, man.
Yeah, Patagonia would be fun. We need to do it. Yeah, really do. All right, let me ask another one.
Okay.
Night owl or early riser?
Definitely not at all.
What time do you get up in the house?
Oh, I'm still usually up by 8:30, 8 or 8:30, but like, I'm not a 6 a.m. guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely night out. During school year, my kids have 0 hours, so we're up at 6 a.m. every morning.
Should it wake you up?
No, alarms. We make their lunches and get driving in and go try and read scriptures in the morning, get started. So
Nice. It's good. I need to do better about that.
I'm a 6 a.m. guy.
yeah.
The older I get, I can't do the night out. I was trying to hang with you guys the other day, and I was just like, I was done. Now that was.
I got to be honest. When I said let's go to dinner tomorrow night,
You were thinking like 4:30.
let's go eat a dinner and you asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Shoot, yeah,
You guys play
are boring. Good. Let's see. We talked a bunch. We can skip these ones here because I do want to get down to, if you guys are good, I want to talk about some of the social media stuff and the viral health trends and stuff like that. We told you we were going to talk a little bit about it, but these, I mentioned the chiropractic crack videos. You see them?
See them?
Tell us what you think. I mean, what do you want the public to know? You're a professional, so.
I think, I'm not big on them. I don't think it really should. I mean, they're good for clicks, and obviously they're using it to make money, but it's sensationalism, right? That's what social media is. It's what draws in viewers, and most of the models are scantily clad and well endowed, so I don't think it's an accurate representation of what we do. What I always tell people about chiropractic is we often get just kind of pigeonholed into what we do is manipulate. And that's part of what we do. But I always tell people that chiropractic's a profession. It's got a scope of practice. We evaluate, we diagnose, we manage, we refer out, we order imaging, we do manual therapy, we do manipulation, we do exercise and rehab. And, I kind of say that each one of those things is a tool, and you get the right tool for the right condition, gets the right outcome. And a lot of chiropractors, the profession years ago has evolved tremendously. A lot more research supporting what we do. Manipulation is helpful, but that's kind of what people think that's all you're doing. So they show up and expectations are different, but they don't really understand the full magnitude of what we do. We work with extremities, we work with all kinds of stuff. So it's good for exposure, I guess, but I think the public from those doesn't get a real good representation of the profession.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I think you've got two different groups too that watch it. There's some that are probably like, oh, I'll go act. And then there's over here like, ew.
Yeah, right?
Cool. Andrew, how about you? Let's talk about TikTok. You on it? You on social media? Watch shorts?
Just not on TikTok. Well, okay, so I guess
Not necessarily, just any of them.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, probably more like Instagram and X now, not Twitter.
Gotcha. So with that, lots of health stuff.
Yeah.
Things going viral.
Yeah.
Give us a little insight on that. What do you think's the most dangerous or ridiculous health trend that you've seen that's just like, dude, it's all over the place and that's not going to do anything for anybody?
Gosh.
Or it can hurt it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think if we
Jump in because you're jumping in.
Yeah. This generation is like so used to consuming like all of their information from reels. They get their news, their political news from reels and all
Right,
that.
Tom? Is that right?
I mean, so I think if you're going to TikTok and you're going to Instagram for your health advice, it's the wrong place to go. I think that's the danger in general. Like those are very few actual experts on there that actually know what they're talking about. They might quote a study, but the studies really don't know the quality of research they're quoting. And so it becomes really dangerous. They're trying to justify what they're saying, but most of them are pushing something on the side. And so I think that's really hard, actually.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking things in context, out of context. And I think the issue that you have is you got like a person that thinks they know something, or they read something and then immediately they think they're an expert at it. And they have hundreds of thousands of followers. And these hundreds of thousands of followers are like, oh, yeah, you're right. And then they blast it to everybody. So it just kind of starts to spread that, oh, this is true. But really, that guy that has 100,000 followers, it's just clickbait. Like he just wants clicks because he's getting paid. You know, the more people that start, reposting it or whatever, they're just making money and just, laughing to the bank. So
what do you guys say to we were broke college students back in the day. We're watching this stuff and we're thinking, man, hey, I'm going to follow this. I'm going to go in and talk to a doc, and then I'm going to get hit with the bill for $150, $200. I mean, it's a lot of money for a broke college student. What do you say to those folks when they see this stuff? Like, how do they decide what's good, what's not? When do I really need to go see a doc?
Well, I mean, I think some of that comes down to their credibility. I mean, if they are like an MD or a PA or someone that actually has licensing, at least they have that behind them that they're talking about. But even those guys can sometimes, throw out some wild, statements that just because they want to get an audience, they want people to check it out. Like my wife's the worst, right? She'll be on there and she'll be like, oh my gosh, we got to do this. It's so good for our health. And so she'll send me the stuff, read about it. And I'll be like, no, I mean, like, this is crazy, like this. Like, what journal are they published in? Like, they're like, oh, a published study. It's like some rando, like, give me something from the, New England Journal, something like that. But
and I think like some big, I mean, you look at remember, everyone knows Dr. Oz, right? Like, he got sued. There are a lot of things and claims, and even, he's an MD, right? And so you automatically assume he's an MD and what he's saying is factual or whatever. And no,
he came down through Oprah,
right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what catwalks, right?
Yeah.
And so now he's got some sort of cult credibility. But I mean, even now, like you got Gary Brecka, and Gary Brecka's helped, Dana White, he's helped, and he's done a lot of great things. But you see his content now, and what's behind all of it? He's got products now for everything he said. So he's now personally trying to monetize his movement and his name, and we've got research showing that, these hydrogen tablets are the thing. He was on a podcast with Joe Rogan. He was talking about, we promoted these hydrogen bottles, right? And they were, I just ordered some, right? He
got you.
He got the molecular hydrogen tablets.
Well, he was saying the tablet. He was saying the tablet, but he promoted these bottles and they were expensive. But what he said is that after using them for a while, they retested them and the bottles lost their efficacy, But for a while, he was promoting those. And so all of his followers jump on these bandwagons. So I just think it's really important
I'm listening to you right now and I'm still trying to think to myself, like, how do you navigate all this, right? Yeah. Let me ask you one kind of like zero it in. So there's a big trend that I'm seeing is to almost go away. Like they kind of say, don't listen to all the trends. Here's what you should do instead is come get an overall wellness check. We're going to run you through this battery of exams. It's going to cost you $10,000. You're going to do full body MRIs and everything because everybody's body is so unique. And then we're going to put you on a vitamin stack. You're going to get on, all these different supplement stacks and everything. And then we've got you, you have a whole body of care takers. What do you think about that? Like, that's expensive. But is it like, I'm 50 and I just heard about some dude that died at 54. And I'm thinking, do I need to go get this full body scan? What do you think?
There's a lot to that, right? And that's functional medicine, right?
Okay.
And you have to really kind of tease out, well, what's their motivation? They have a financial motivation to use some of these fear tactics. You need those who would die at 55. Everybody does, right? And so they tap into this fear and you've got to do this. Now, it goes to, for me, back to a couple of things like where are you at financially? Is the $10,000 going to make or break? Right. So then you go back to, what do you actually need it? So would that be a good prophylactic approach to healthcare? Sure, if you've got the money, right? Mm-hmm. But I think you also have to be careful. Like, what's their incentive? Why are they pushing these things? And then, where is, how it affects you, Anyway, I just think it's a very complicated thing.
Yeah, it's going to be complex. I mean, what's your family history? Like, did your dad die at 50? Like all those kind of things would come into play. Like, did that happen? You'd be like, okay, maybe I should invest in this so I can catch something early that got my dad or my uncle or, whoever.
So if you've got the money and you've got the family history, maybe that's got, you have a legitimate concern. Do you think it's worthwhile to go do something like that? And do you think they can do it? I guess that's the question.
Yeah, that'd be my question.
So what's going to happen? And this is why they don't promote, like in general, like the guidelines don't promote imaging on everybody, because everybody is unique. You're going to find a bunch of just random weird stuff. And you're going to then incur all these expenses chasing after things that are just normal for you,
right?
Not necessarily a variant or even dangerous. I think it comes back to, though, like even the hydrogen tablets, it's fine. If you, $30, $40, not going to kill you, not going to send you back. And as long as it's not doing there is really the only thing you're out is out $40. So
right.
That's to me, it kind of goes back to what are the benefits? What are the risks? And if the risks are really minimal, then who cares? Patients come in and they're on all kinds of, essential oils and stuff. All I do is they're like convinced it works for them. I tried a long time ago, just kind of having conversations with them about the essential oils and the research, lack of research on them and whatever. But if they're convinced it works, knock yourself.
So we've seen it a lot in different chiropractic offices where they're selling a bunch of supplements and stuff too. So you don't do that with your clinics and stuff?
Well, with us, the only thing I think we sell is creatine, and that's specifically for concussion patients, because there's a lot of good research on creatine increasing ATP production during the metabolic decline after concussion, and so it can help mitigate or minimize some of the cognitive issues that you have after concussion. So in those cases, but it's very specific, right? But to just, I know a local nurse practitioner where we're at, and he told my buddy, he's like, well, you might have a selective serotonin uptake problem. And so here's a $45 something. I was like, well, if that's what you think, wouldn't you test for it? Rather than just, good point. Anyway, so I just think you really have to look at what's their motivation. And so I'm not big on these offices where they run they charge you thousands of dollars to run a bunch of tests, and then they give you a bunch of supplements that you could go get cheaper, Absco or somewhere else, but they've got the purest kind. Yeah, I think you just have to be careful for, sensational or claims like that.
Yeah. Well, it begs a question for me, gentlemen. How do you choose your provider? Right? You got an injury, you're hurt, you're not feeling right. What are you doing? Because, we all know people in the industry, right?
Right.
But is that who you choose, or how do you figure out where you're going?
Yeah, I mean, I have certain providers that I know personally that I just, being in the business, have worked with, that I just know that they're super smart, and they're not going to lead me astray. So I would probably follow up with some of those guys, people that I just kind of know, and people come to me all the time being like, who should I go to for an orthopedist? Who should I go to? And I forward them on to the people that I think are the best.
Yeah.
Good. But best on personal relationships, or best because you've done the research?
Well, I would say, I mean, I haven't researched all the orthopedists in my area, but the ones that I've worked with, there's definitely some that I'd be like, don't go to those guys. But then there's some that I've worked with and that I've seen the outcomes, that I'd be like, yeah, these guys are great. They do a good job. And I don't really go off of, are they just cool guys? I'm going off of how things have turned out, So there's a couple of neurosurgeons that I know that are complete absolute douchebags, but they're great neurosurgeons, and they do a great job.
Sometimes that comes with the territory.
Surgeons usually,
So, yeah. I mean,
Our interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
Are not.
Bedside manner is not so great.
that's what I was saying. In a perfect world, you'd have a doctor who's competent and good at what they do and has good bedside manner. You know, they do exist.
Well, to your point, Aaron, I mean, one of the big things for me isn't just caliber of the guy and the work, but I like to be able to feel like I got somebody that cares about me.
Right.
I got a relationship with this individual, and they want to see me. I'm not just in,
Not just a number.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough. So it's really tough.
Well, and I think that's in a perfect world, you could find that. And there are those providers, they are out there.
But they're full. You're going to take 3 months to get into them,
But at the end of the day, I do tell patients, like, he's a good surgeon. A lot of patients complain about his bedside manner, but he'll do. So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, what you're really looking for, you are looking for outcomes over everything else. But in a perfect world, you can do. Yeah.
That's awesome. Let's talk about one big ticket item. It's in law, it's in medicine, marijuana. And what I want to do is just talk about, I know it's illegal on the federal level. It's becoming more and more illegal on the state, a lot of the states that we deal with. But let's just assume we're in a legal setting, pain management only, marijuana, good or bad. What do you guys think? And coupled with that, good, if you think it's good, what's the best way to take it? Because there's different ways to consume it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it. So that there used to be a drug called Marinol that was a prescription that I could write. That was for
THC, right?
Really?
Okay.
It's not really used that much anymore, but it definitely, there's a place for it in medicine. I mean, it does help with pain. I mean, people do really well. There are people that are going through chemo that don't want to eat.
Yeah.
They'll put them on it, and it does help them eat.
And they're just ordering pizza.
Cheetos and pizza, man. So I don't
we should have tested before. And name all the ways you can say marijuana so we know that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We should have started.
Right. No, I think there's a place in medicine.
Well,
But is it? And then that place too. I mean, what I've heard, and I'd like to hear Aaron's input on it. What's the alternative, right? I mean, you got oxycodone or THC,
right?
And good or bad on both sides.
Well, I think that's the point where I was going to is like, especially with the movement trend in medicine to move away from narcotics and addictive, medications. Even the research, those types of medications, as far as long-term pain relief, aren't necessarily great for you. Taxing on the liver too for the body to filter and process it, and so I have talked to patients that. There's still that stigma around it. So they come in and they're like, oh, I've been using marijuana to just cope with my pain. And I was like, I would rather have patient using THC to manage their pain over, habit forming, Percocet, fentanyl, that kind of stuff, and any day of the week. And so, as far as best form, the Marinol was good because it was a pill, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so patients didn't feel that stigma. There are still some patients that are hesitant, especially older patients, where there's just that stigma to it. They don't want to be looked at as like, so they don't want to smoke it most of the time. They don't want the paraphernalia. And so, I mean, edibles, these things are coming all kinds of concentrations out that it's spent. So I think, especially if you're looking at long-term needs, it's not habit forming. And if it gives them, takes that edge off and gives them the relief, that's far better for the health of the person overall than to be, risky potential addiction and the cycle that comes with that.
Case in point, my mother-in-law has lung cancer, and she's stage 4, and she got put on this new chemo drug that's an oral pill, and it would make her have horrible body aches. So she got put on Norco. And so she was taking pretty high dose Norco, and she'd be taking 1 or 2 every 4 hours. Well, she took a trip to Oregon and got some edibles, and now she doesn't even really take the Norco at all. She just uses an edible that helps a lot with the pain. And the chemo pill is working because she's now in remission, which is pretty amazing. But she's not she's not drugged out of her mind. She's still being able to function and take something like that and not have 10, 20 milligrams of,
That's not good. is the medical community, because you guys rub shoulders with surgeons, PAs, MDs, chiros, PTs. I mean, you guys sound like, hey, look, if it's something that's helping for pain, that's a decent alternative for pain.
Yeah. I'd say
Most of your buddies support that. You know, the guys that you're in the medical side.
on my side of the ER, 100%.
Yeah.
I would say the majority.
I think the trend is definitely moving that way too. So,
Because they can see it.
Yeah.
You know, they can see people that are on it now that are like doing well, and they don't have to write them Oxy or Norco.
But I think that trend was the catalyst for the legal trend too, right?
Sure.
Like, hey, there's like all these people with chronic pain, and we've got to get it so that it's legal because it's better than what the pharmaceutical companies are pumping out to us.
Right.
And we've seen the destruction that's caused with, fentanyl and so on and so forth.
when I was talking to my neighbor, and he's a primary care doc, and he was saying that for a while he was doing chronic pain management, and they would do urinalysis to make sure that they were not selling it, right? And he had a patient come in and didn't test positive, and he was, sometimes in my urine it doesn't come out, so he's like, "Okay, we'll do blood work," and then the guy just that switch flips. And then he's just swearing out, "I better not find you in the street. I'll kill you." Just they get crazy when they can't get them. And so that's then addiction. And you look at like the hundreds and thousands and millions of people's lives, and it's affecting people who overdose will become addicted. And a lot of the hard street drugs, they transition. They start with narcotic pain meds, and then they move on to harder drugs. And so I think any way we can get away from that, I think is a good.
I will say you're absolutely right in the sales sector. A lot of elderly will come in to the ER trying to get prescriptions for narcotics because their kids are then going off and selling.
Really?
Yeah. Like I had one lady that was, she was in a wheelchair, so she obviously had pain, and we would do the best we could to control her pain that she said she had, but she would try to get prescription after prescription after prescription of oxycodone or Norco. But then we come to find out her daughter was actually taking it and selling it.
How'd you find that?
She got arrested. Yeah, found that she got arrested. I mean, everyone in the ER knew this person. Like, she came in all the time. I mean, she was a regular, and she was a super sweet little old lady, but she was always in so much pain and needed out of her meds. Right. So some people would, she'd get sometimes a doc to write or something, and then she'd take it home and get the pill to her daughter, and they go sell them and get some money.
So when I was in Vegas, so Vegas has a huge problem with overdoses, and they have a system where pharmacies now talk, and they can see who's where, because they would bounce around, right? They bounce around pharmacy to pharmacy, different systems. And until they came up with this kind of system where it was all integrated, where they could see, this guy's, she's been playing the system, right? Well, we had a lady come in, car accident, neck brace, super dirty neck brace, like it's been on for like just one for 2 years straight. Came in, it's our mid-level provider, and was asking for, somas and narcotic pain medication. And he didn't give her the narcotics, but wrote her the prescription. And in our office, we had that. So Vegas is hot, right? So we had this reflective one-way film on it. So our whole wall was window. We could see out in the parking lot. They couldn't see it. But when she finished her visit, walked outside right by her car, takes that prescription, puts it up in the air, and does like a pirouette in the parking lot, and so you see that kind of stuff, and you just, it was a problem. Yeah, man. But
awesome stuff that we talked about. We're getting short on time. In fact, we have to go golf here in just a little bit. So
dang it.
I'm not going to complain about that, but to wrap this up, and you guys know we do, felony unwanted personal injury law firm, handle a lot of car collision cases. You guys have treated a lot of folks that have just been in a car collision, right? What's the number one thing you wish that folks knew to do from a medical kind of standpoint, or just even generally, within 24 hours of being involved in a car collision? What's your advice from a medical perspective?
Go for that. Monopolize the time.
Sure. I'll do it.
I've been doing this quite a while, and I do think that patients too often they need to get checked out. And I think they have this idea that it'll just get better, it'll just go away. But there's a lot of research, that shows how these things can become very chronic if they're not treated. Up to 15 years later, 70% of patients that have had whiplash in a car accident still have neck pain. And so It's important to get checked out.
And those are the ones that they still have it because they didn't get treated, right?
Even if, I mean, there's no guarantee that you'll get back to 100%. But I mean, if you've got symptoms, just get checked out.
Sure.
Treatment. That's why people have insurance. They feel like, well, I don't want to sue somebody or something like that. And that's not what this is about. It's really just, that's why we have insurance. That's why I carry it, just in case my daughter or myself, I accidentally through my negligence injure somebody. That's why we have that, so they can get treatment. And kind of really patients or people need to understand that that's the purpose of insurance, and not to try and take somebody for a ride or get something we don't need or don't deserve. It's there to make sure that you're made as whole as possible after that happens. So
we get a lot of clients that they'll tell us that I was in the collision. It was 24 hours ago. Maybe it was 8, 10, whatever. They give us a call, and they're not actually feeling like I don't know if I have any symptoms right now. But then the next day, I feel like garbage.
Totally.
And then we get some witnesses even that will say, oh, especially the defendant driver. I talked to them. They were fine. They said they were totally fine. Like, what's going on there? Are they faking? Or are they lying to us? Or
it's adrenaline. It's usually adrenaline. Like, so when they come into the ER and I see somebody that was just in an accident, they'll be sitting there like, I don't have any pain. I feel fine. And you'll do a full exam on them. And sometimes they don't elicit any pain. But then the next day they'll show up because that adrenaline rush is gone. And now everything's tight and everything's hurting. So I always tell them, like, hey, like, there's more than likely you're going to be hurt tomorrow. And you may have new symptoms and you may need more imaging. You may need something, like either follow up with our clinic, or come back and you get more imaging, but that's a very common thing.
So you have a couple of things going on. Then you have injured tissue that the inflammatory response is increasing over the first 72 hours. And then you have that adrenaline that's decreasing at the same time. It's kind of like a natural painkiller. And so the combination of those two, is what patients experience when they have that delayed feel. I got in the car because I got hit by an old lady turning left into an intersection a year ago. And it wasn't terrible, $21,000 to my car, but at the time, I was like, oh, I'll be fine. But the next week I woke up and I completely tore the cause, couldn't turn my neck. And that's how I went in and got a little bit of treatment, and I've been good. But those things happen. So with injuries like this, we have a small window about that first 90 days to make the greatest impact as far as healing, scarring, limited range of motion, permanent limitations. It's not to say that we can't help when it becomes more chronic or it's been old, but we can make a much greater impact if we can get patients early. You said with concussion, the earlier we can get them in and assess them, the better that long-term outcomes. And so it's always good to get checked so that we can, mitigate that as much as possible.
Well, and we've advised clients too, like, to that effect, because I knew that, having done this for almost 20 years now, and I knew that I wanted our viewers to get that information too. But we always advise them, just like if you've been involved in a traumatic event, go get evaluated by a medical professional. The worst thing that could happen is you're totally fine.
Yes.
It gets documented that you're totally fine. And then that's helpful for the next car collision that you're in, because odds are you're going to be involved in some other traumatic event later on in life. It sucks, but that's the truth of it, right? And now you have documentation that says, no, it wasn't this event, it's that event.
Yeah.
So you don't you're making claims there. So whether you are hurt or not, but it sounds like for a lot of folks, because we get people that feel guilty about it, right? They're like, I didn't feel like I hurt. I told the EMTs that I felt fine. And I feel almost like I'm lying, but I hurt. And that's normal. From what you're saying, it's very common. So they shouldn't feel like they're lying or fabricating. But it happens.
And that business will be covered by the insurance.
Right.
So I mean, you really
exactly. Yeah, because they have personal injury protection or Medicare or something.
Yeah.
That brings up a question for me too, and I think we're out of time, but we're close to it. Well, from your perspectives, you know what we do, we know what you do, but tell the viewers, if you can, the importance, if you think it's important, for that intersection between a legal medical relationship and these kinds of situations.
And
Go ahead, you got it.
no, I think especially oftentimes the practices of insurance companies can be very predatory. in the sense that they'll call, they're doing recorded conversations, they're waiting for you to say, oh, I'm fine, I don't have any pain, and then they'll use that against you later.
To deny your claim.
To deny your claim.
So a blast on state farm recently.
You're right. And so, I had a lady, young girl, they said, oh, well, we'll pay for it. We're going to give you $2,000 and then we're going to pay for your medical care. And so she signed the check and then we submitted the bills and they said, nope, she signed the check. We're free and clear. And so, I recommend that patients get representation just to make sure that they get what is due to them under the law, right? And then also to make sure that they get, represented. And I always tell patients, it's not about monetary gain, secondary gain. It's really just to make sure that you get truly fairly.
Yeah, somebody's fighting in your corner.
And you want to have the resources to get back on your feet, take care of your family.
Sure, absolutely.
With all this. Exactly.
And that's still, it allows them, there's so much that's going to be going on. Phone calls, recorder trials. Let the attorneys handle all that headache and you focus solely on just getting better.
Yeah, we tell them that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, go see the docs. Go get treatment. Focus on you feeling better.
Yep.
And then we'll take care of the legal headache.
He had something that he said a couple of times that I really love. And what he talks about is that a patient would prefer to get better than to make a bunch of money.
Yep.
They would
100%.
They would prefer to just be back to 100% whole.
Yeah.
And to try to make a ton of money or anything like that. So it's all about getting better.
Yeah. The only people that don't agree with that are the ones that haven't been in a collision yet or were the defendant or a collision. And then they think there's all these nefarious things going on. But as soon as you're involved in a collision, you're 100% on board with that because you get it. You get the cost, the inconvenience,
Yes.
the ramifications that it has on you, your job, your family. I mean, you get it once that happens. So that's definitely where we can come in and help. Hey, we got to close it out. We're going to surprise you with this. We have a guitar outside, and we just want you to sing a song. Just like real. I'm kidding. We don't have. He's like, no. I wish. I was like thinking. I was like, dang, that's how we should have closed this out. No, hey,
And even though you were saying no, I know you went to that Sun Valley.
I know. He started trying to get
What song am I going to sing?
All right. Well, I do want to thank you both for sharing your stories and your expertise with us today. If you're listening out there and you want to learn more or hear more about how law, medicine, and modern life intersects, be sure to subscribe to our podcast. Until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and don't believe everything you see on social media.